We're talking about the migrant crisis. We've just been talking about Labour leader Keir Starmer's incoherent plan to not solve it. How are you going to solve the migrant crisis if part of your solution plan is a deal with Europe to accept more migrants? That's not solving the crisis, that's making it worse. Unbelievable. And by the way, so he talks about we'll forge a bespoke deal with Brussels. Brussels today said, oh no, you won't. We're not interested. How dare you stand up and say you're going to forge a deal with us? You haven't asked us. We don't want to do it. And I know why they don't want to do it. Because if they do, it will involve us sending some of our migrants back to continental Europe and the EU basically saying which countries have got to take them. Now, if the EU said to Spain or Italy, you've got to take them, they'll turn around and say, no, we won't. So, useless plan. Talking about useless, let's now talk about the Bibby Stockholm. Remember that? The barge that was going to hold 509 young male asylum seekers down there in the lovely town of Portland. Tiny town, 13,000 residents, sort of one GP, one copper. They've got the infrastructure for 500 new residents with nothing to do all day. Anyway, they got on board. There were only about 30 of them. Then they were taken off due to a Legionnaire's disease. Anyway, it's been sitting there now, this sort of rusting, empty hulk, a symbol of the fiasco of this entire saga. Indeed, the fiasco of the migrants' crisis, which goes from bad to worse. Anyway, now the government says it's all ready to roll. They've got rid of the Legionnaires. They've got all the safety concerns sorted out. And they still say that very soon, I think they've reduced the numbers a bit, but 450 or so will be taking up residence on that barge. Now, we're going to talk now to get some updates on what she feels about it and what maybe the local community know that we don't know. She's a leading light in the No to the Barge group down there in Portland. Susan Phoenix. Good afternoon, Susan.
Hello, Kevin. How are you?
I'm very well. So that seems to be... I mean, it's sort of your campaign to stop the barge for the reasons we know why. Nothing about racism, nothing about xenophobia. It's a small community, 12,000 people with a certain kind of limited infrastructure that cannot accept, will not be able to handle 500 young men with nothing to do all day, not forgetting their medical requirements, their dental requirements, their social requirements, the fact they might break a few laws. All of that, too much for your community to take. This barge, the Bibby Stockholm, was foisted upon you with no consultation. You've had no consultation from the government at all. By default, your Stop the Barge campaign has kind of succeeded so far, you know, because of the Legionnaires and they can't get anyone on. But it does seem now like they're determined in the very near future to populate this barge at last. What's the latest from your side of the story? How are people feeling right now?
Well, it's a bit difficult, but everything you have said earlier, social division, fantasy project, symbol of despair, I mean, the words, the adjectives are just getting worse. I've been travelling in the last couple of weeks, and as I travel around the country, the people are saying the same as they are in Portland. This is a disgrace. There isn't the infrastructure in Portland, and a lot of the places I've been visiting haven't got the infrastructure either. We are messing up Britain. We're being hoodwinked. We're being blinkered. The Home Office are wandering around the country, seeing which place they can intimidate next. And it all is about bullying. But the thing now is, as you say, they've reduced the numbers, but what, 50 perhaps? But they've forgotten they're dealing with people. And whether it's people on the barge or people living locally, this is just, it's all figures and statistics, isn't it? No common sense. And the fact now that some of the, I don't know what we're allowed to call these guys, guests on the barge.
Asylum seekers, Susan. Asylum seekers.
Okay, well, whatever.
But all male, by the way, you know, which, you know, carries with it its obvious connotations, you know.
Yeah, and while we're on that, last night I was in a hotel where 500 all-male gentlemen came for a pool competition. And my friend and I both went, God, can you imagine this is 500 men? And in a civilized hotel, and even that seemed rather inundating. So you put that into our little barge in our little island, yeah, all male. So it's not a cultural difference. It's not any of that. It's just 500 people too many anywhere without an infrastructure. But it's more the bullying that I don't like, and the fact they're now bullying these guys that they want to get back on, saying, well, you know, go on. If not, we're going to make you homeless. Now, that is really quite frightening, isn't it? So they're actually forcing people back on for, as I keep calling it, the vanity project of Rishi and Cruella, or Cruella, I think people are calling it.
Cruella. Now,
did I say that out loud? Sorry.
Well, it's all right. It's fine. So you're not the first one to call her that, although I'm sure she's a very nice woman.
I'm sure she
is. But just to try to sum up, I mean, it's sitting there now, this rusty, empty hulk. Maybe they'll get some people on soon. The whole thing has been a fiasco so far. But one more word from you, if you can, Susan, about what the local community feel about this. You all must be very disillusioned with the government, who, as you say, have bullied you, because, you know, when they said, oh, let's put a barge near Tilbury in London, the big city of London said, no, you do that and there will be hell to pay. Then they said, oh, we'll put one in Liverpool. The big city of Liverpool said, you try that and there will be hell to pay. So they go to a place like yours, a little community, and then they bribe the council, to be honest with you. They say, oh, you'll get whatever it is, £5,000 per migrant. So the council sort of stopped making too much noise about it. It is, as you say, it is choosing small communities that can't resist.
Yeah, and they say we're low resistance. But I'll give you an example. A couple of weeks ago, we had a very sad accident on our one road on and off our island. And the whole road, the island, was blocked for 5 hours. 5 hours for one accident. So, you know, putting those guys there, if we have any problems, the Fire Brigade Union, thank goodness, did come to the rescue and say, hey, this isn't safe. Not sure what's happening now. But the fact that we don't have the infrastructure, someone tells me they've been waiting this week for the community policeman for over a week for antisocial behaviour already there locally amongst our youngsters. Not the fault of the police. They don't have the resources either. So, you know, it's all going to be a patch-up job. It's wrong, lack of common sense. We've got to get this sorted, and we've got to stop the blinkering of the community by the Home Office and the government.
Susan, we're going to talk again very soon. I'm pretty certain of that, but it's good to talk to you now. That was Susan Phoenix, leading light of the No to the Barge group down there in Portland in Sussex.